Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing very well. This is me Reshma Ravindran, and today we are going to look into a topic that I really want to discuss with you guys because I am currently in my PR process, and I thought I should actually share my experience with some of the important factors that is probably going to help you with your journey as well. So let's get started. If you've already started your PR journey, or if you are just beginning to think about it, or even if you're just a student right now, we all know that the most important aspect of getting a very good CRS score is obviously scoring CLB 9 in your CELPIP or IELTS or PTE, whatever you're taking. So I thought that probably discussing about it and some of the factors that can actually help you choose my decision, and this is completely again my opinion about how I went about with it, and I'm just going to tell you what are the things that I did, and also towards the end of the video I'm going to tell you my honest opinion about which I think was the best of all. And I also am going to tell you how I was able to score CLB 9 in my first attempt. Let's just begin with the three main exams that is currently accepted by IRCC now. So we have PTE, CELPIP, and then IELTS. So IELTS is the most traditional and the most common exam that has been taken by a lot of people, and since there are tons of resources available outside and it has been in the system for a lot of years, a lot of people are obviously comfortable taking IELTS. And when it comes to CELPIP, when compared to IELTS, it is relatively new, but nonetheless it has been in the system for a while now, and IRCC has been accepting CELPIP for a while, so obviously it is getting in line with IELTS as well. When it comes to PTE, yes, IRCC is accepting it, but it is relatively new in the system and we do not have a lot of opinions from different people. So again, this is completely based on my research and analysis of what I think about PTE. So I'm just going to divide these three things into different factors, and based on that you will be able to make an informed decision. Now when it comes to the price point of all three exams, the most expensive one is obviously the PTE, and the next expensive one is the IELTS, and finally at around $280 is what we have the CELPIP at, which is a pretty good deal. So again, out of the three, the cheapest is the CELPIP, and so in the factors of when it comes to prices, I would say that CELPIP obviously has the edge. And let's talk about the ways you can give these exams in. So when it comes to IELTS, obviously you have pen and paper, and when it comes to other exams, everything else is computerized. And if you think that pen and paper is very important to you and you're not comfortable with computer based exams at all, then in that case you can probably go with pen and paper, which is IELTS, since IELTS is the only organization that is giving this option. But right now I think most of us are very familiar with computerized exams, so I think that it's completely up to you on which one you would like to go for. Now let's talk about the resources that is available for all three of the exams. When it comes to PTE, obviously the resources are very limited, and it can probably take it can obviously make you feel like you need to take a course or something just to understand the exam pattern a little better. obviously because the resources out there is not quite abundant. So that again is a disadvantage when it comes to PTE, and it could take a couple of years before a lot of resources come to us. But when it comes to IELTS and CELPIP, I'm pretty sure the resources for PTE is quite limited. And IELTS, of course, has a lot of these resources out there, and of course there are a lot of free resources out there as well. So again, IELTS is a great option. And when it comes to CELPIP, the resources, I wouldn't say it's as abundant as IELTS, and I wouldn't say it's as less as PTE as well. So when it comes to that, a CELPIP kind of sits in the middle. So the resources are out there, but some of them are actually paid resources for you to check out. But then CELPIP does have some of the YouTube resources out there. It also has a lot of webinar resources, which again is also quite helpful. So this is the resources scenario when it comes to these three exams. So now I think we can probably move on to the most important segment, where we can actually look into detail on how reading and I mean how all of the modules work with these three topics. And when it comes to listening, I felt that all three was very similar. It was easy, and listening generally is something that most of us do not have a lot of trouble with. Overall, if you're really able to concentrate, I think listening is pretty much the same for all three of the exams. So when it comes to the reading part, I think reading is one of the most unpredictable topics that I would say, because sometimes whenever I take reading, I feel like, you know, I've done really well, and when the scores come out, I feel like, oh, did I make so many mistakes? That's how I feel about reading most of the times. And so that is kind of unpredictable. And but then overall, when I have noticed things with PTE and CELPIP and everything, it is pretty much similar. There is again not a lot of difference, but I have noticed that when it comes to IELTS, the reading part is a bit easier. Reason being, I've noticed that, you know, you just have to follow the keywords, and you will probably be able to answer all of the questions given. But when it comes to CELPIP, they're actually expecting you to understand you know, the entire paragraph. So it cannot just work like, you know what, I know all the keywords, will I be able to answer all of the questions? Some questions, yeah, but some questions I feel that you need to understand the paragraph and probably interpret what the author was thinking when they wrote this paragraph. And that interpretation is actually not needed when you write for IELTS. And that is again, you know, it comes to a point where which is more comfortable to you. So when it comes to the reading part, I feel that IELTS is a bit more easier when it comes to CELPIP reading. Now let's move on to the speaking part. So when it comes to PTE, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, there is a bit of you know, listening that is attached to speaking, which I didn't really want to do, and that's why I kind of skipped PTE. But again, if you have a different opinion, you can let me know in the comments section, and we can have an open discussion about it. But when it comes to the speaking part, now, a lot of people have different opinions about IELTS and CELPIP. So I'm going to first of all talk about my opinion. So I felt that the IELTS speaking is a little bit more easier. Reason being, I really like the fact that I'm able to converse with an actual person there, and the entire room is to myself and the examiner. So this actually gives me the opportunity to concentrate a bit more. And also I feel like when I'm talking to the examiners, it's a bit more conversational. Although sometimes I do not have enough time to you know, answer the questions, because since it's actually, I'm talking to a human, they keep changing the questions. So although it is a bit difficult in some people's perspective, I personally felt that since it's more conversational, and since I have the opportunity to actually show, like, hand gestures and my facial expressions, my tone, everything is out there. So I have a feeling that when it comes to speaking, I was able to concentrate a bit more in IELTS. But when it came to the speaking of CELPIP, obviously, you need to be in a surrounding full of people who are actually going to talk along with you. This could actually disrupt your the way you're talking, or sometimes the person sitting next to you is also talking and you're talking on a different topic, so you might feel like there is a bit of distraction. But again, that again depends on an individual perspective. But again, self-pip, there's an advantage. The question is there, you have around 30 seconds to prepare and like pause for a minute and then go to the question. Now that is also again a great advantage, right? So this again is a bit of a perspective difference here, because some people prefer to see the questions before, prepare and then speak, and some people would like to have a more conversation, and it is better to have a face-to-face discussion with the actual examiner. But again, this is again a preference thing. Let's come to the last part, that is writing. The very first thing that struck me really hard was the writing part of PTE. So every time when you start researching on any exam, go to the website and start looking at how they are marking you. So based on what I saw, I'm actually going to put a box here, right here, just to show you how they're marking when it comes to PTE. So if you notice, the writing is almost, we need to get 88 or 89 out of 90 to actually score a CLB 9, and a CLB 10 is basically close to impossible, because you cannot make any mistakes at all. So that is what they are expecting when it comes to PTE. And after I saw that, I felt like I'm not going to take PTE, because again, I was not very confident about my writing either. Because when I was taking my IELTS test, when I came here as a student, I was kind of struggling with the writing part, and I constantly felt that that's where I was lagging. So now PTE was not giving me the option to make a lot of mistakes when compared to CELPIP or IELTS, where I can at least make 4 to 5 mistakes and still be in CLB 9. Whereas PTE was not giving me that option. Even if I get 87 out of 90, I'm going to lose my score and move to CLB 8, which I think is pretty bad, and I was not okay with doing that part of the exam. And it also puts a lot of pressure on me that I need to be really good in the other modules to make sure that I cope up for the mistakes that I make in the writing module of the PTE test. And that is the sole purpose why I thought that it was not okay for me to take PTE. But again, nonetheless, there could be a lot of people who have different opinions about this. But if you are someone who has taken PTE and you felt like it was an easy peasy thing to do and it was so easy to do, you are free to drop comments in the comment section below and tell us why you thought PTE was better. And if you've taken PTE, great. You can let us know why you were successful when compared to other tests like CELPIP or IELTS. And when it came to CELPIP, I felt again CELPIP and PTE has an advantage of something called spell check. And I would obviously go with CELPIP here because it has spell check. Because sometimes when you're typing too fast, there is a possibility that you can make an error, and if the system is able to correct it, that is absolutely wonderful. But when it comes to IELTS, obviously there's no spell check option, and I think that is a huge disadvantage when it comes to writing, because sometimes we need help with spellings, don't we? Like, it's not like we don't know a lot of spellings. It's just that, with the added pressure, we can even forget the basic spellings, and it's always nice to have a spell check. So I personally felt that the spell check for CELPIP was a game changer here, and CELPIP is a clear winner when it comes to writing. Let's finally talk about which I chose when it came to the decision of making which I should write for my PR application. So I chose CELPIP, and that's what I wrote. So the reason why I chose CELPIP was, number one, there was spell check. That was very, very important to me. And number two, I have been in this country for at least 3 years now. So based on my experience, I have spoken to a lot of Canadians, and I've had the opportunity to get exposed to Canadian accent. So I thought, why shouldn't we take CELPIP? Because the CELPIP was actually created in Canada, and it was specifically made for PR and citizenship purposes, and that was specifically made for people applying for immigration for Canada. And that is the reason why it is much more better to actually take CELPIP, because now that I've been exposed to this particular language, why should I choose another language? When you take PTE, Pearson, which is for Australians, and IELTS, which has a lot of British accent, and all this, when all this comes to comes to one place, I personally feel that it is better to choose an accent that I am comfortable with, and that's why I went with CELPIP secondly. And most of all, I understand that a lot of people prefer taking IELTS, and but based on my research, I felt that the overall anxiety level for CELPIP is way low. Reason being, the time limit for CELPIP is a bit more when compared to other modules, because obviously it is a bit hectic, of course, because when it comes to IELTS, you have 3 modules in one go, and you can probably do your speaking before. So that is an advantage, of course. But then I personally felt that I had a lot of time when it came to CELPIP, and someone who is a bit slow, I needed a lot of time when it came to writing the overall exam. So that is also another reason why I chose CELPIP. The only surprise that I had with CELPIP was that, like I mentioned earlier, I would prefer the IELTS speaking over CELPIP speaking, but I had no option. I had to take the speaking with CELPIP. But when it comes to IELTS speaking, obviously you do not have any distractions. But then when it came to CELPIP, I was basically surrounded with a lot of people near me. Initially, when I was going to take the exam, I thought, I'm going to just have a cubicle around me and no one's going to disturb me. But then that was not the case. And as someone who has a very loud voice, since I wanted to concentrate, I was trying to scream with the headphones on, and I wanted to concentrate, so I was trying to scream. But when the invigilator actually walked with a board that said you need to lower your volume, and that was again a bit distracting, because I'm here answering these questions, and I have this invigilator with the board in front of me. I'm like, okay, should I look at the computer, or what is the invigilator telling? And it was kind of a surprise for me. But maybe if I had known this is how it's going to be, I would have been mentally prepared for it. But somehow I don't know, maybe I missed out on this. Maybe I did not do my research properly. But you guys know that you are going to have other people talk near you. So make sure that you know that this is going to happen, because if you know all this is going to happen already, I think you can be mentally prepared and prepare to that situation accordingly, and you're just going to talk the way you want to, and obviously in a lower volume. Otherwise you're going to have the invigilator come to you and ask you to lower your volume. So keep all that in mind and be prepared if you are going to take the CELPIP exam. A lot of people I know actually did take IELTS exam, mainly because there are a lot of resources out there, and since you already do have the practice of taking the exam before, when even when you were coming as a student, you took the IELTS exam. If you had taken the IELTS exam, you obviously would want to continue with that pattern, because you don't want a new pattern to come in. But I would say that when it came to CELPIP, it was much easier when compared to IELTS. So I would highly recommend that you take the CELPIP over IELTS. But again, do your research, and it completely depends upon which you prefer and what are your preferences. Again, that's something that you want, but this is my honest opinion. Now let's finally talk about preparation. So now when it comes to the preparation of any of these exams, you will need to take uh, two things into consideration. One is the language preparation, and another is the actual exam preparation. So when it comes to the language preparation, it's not something that you can obviously do overnight. It takes a lot of time for you to perfect a lot of things. So it could take time to understand certain accents or certain things that you learn over time. This is not something that you can, like I said, you cannot learn some language overnight. So obviously it's going to take time, and it also depends upon the experience that you have, the exposure to you have when it comes to English. And so when it comes to that part, that's something I really cannot talk to you about, because that's something that you need to develop on your own, whether it is through reading books or watching something or talking to people. Oh, that's something that you can develop on your own. And now we have a lot of apps like Duolingo, or there are so many things that you can actually do to talk to people and improve your language preparation. But I can definitely talk about the exam preparation. So when it comes to the exam preparation, I don't think you need a lot of time when it comes to the exam, because the main thing that you need to do is understand the pattern of the exam, because the only reason I was able to score CLB 9 on my first attempt was mainly because I was so thorough with the exam pattern, and I was so thorough with what they exactly needed from me. Even if you think that you have an amazing command over the language, you can always make a lot of errors, and you can always not deliver the things that they are actually expecting from us. So when it comes to CELPIP, the very first thing that I did was, there were so many webinars out there, the official webinars that the CELPIP themselves have published on their YouTube channels. So that was the very first thing I did. I went to all these webinars and I took notes for the writing part. So I made sure that I actually understood what the requirement was. What are the factors that they are marking me on? So that was the very first thing that I did. The one thing that I was so scared of when it came to writing, of course, because I always was struggling before when it came to writing, and I was able to get a perfect score. And honestly, the only reason I was able to do that was only because I followed those instructions given on the webinar, and it was so helpful for me, because I went to the webinar, I just took notes of what they were expecting, and I made sure that was there on my paper, and that's exactly what I did. Because whatever the subject might be, when you're talking to them, you know that this is how you need to start a statement and this is how you need to end a statement. And when all these instructions were given to me, I was able to take notes on all of this and continue. So when it came to writing and reading, since IELTS and CELPIP are very similar, you can practice both and you will still be able to crack CELPIP or IELTS. So that part was okay. But I think the practice when it came to speaking was not really up to the mark when it came to speaking for me, because again I felt like I did not make a lot of effort to understand the speaking bit, because again I did not know that this is how the situation would be around me, and also I did not make a lot of effort to understand the speaking part. So I think if you're able to understand the pattern when it comes to speaking, I think that again helps you a lot here. So you can just search on YouTube and just look for CELPIP webinars, and I think you will be good to go and start. Maybe probably one thing that I did with writing was that I made a template when it came to letter writing. Try to use some of the complex statements that you generally don't use when it comes to writing. You can actually look for these templates out there. It's obviously out there, and it's there in a lot of resources, and you will be able to find some really good templates. And sometimes you can also reach out to also look into chat GPT, but again tweak the templates according to what they really require. Even if someone says this is a killer template, just follow this, do not do that. Try to customize it for you, because it shouldn't be like you just copy pasted a template that someone just posted. I feel like you need to customize a template for yourself and customize that particular template. You can have a reference material when it comes to having a template, but do not just copy paste whatever you see out there. But when you can have a reference in your mind, and then you can tweak it accordingly during your exam. So that is what I would suggest when it comes to templates for writing. And I'm not going to give you a lot of these points here now. You can probably look at it when you are going through these webinars. And when it comes to resources and testing out, CELPIP obviously has some of the sample questions on their website. But apart from that, if you need more questions, obviously you will need to look for it in other resources. But it just took me a few hours for me to practice, because obviously since I was working, I only had time during the weekend to work on it. So I would probably spend an hour or two on Saturdays and Sundays to work on it, and I only had like a month. So you only need few hours to understand the pattern of the exam, and I think that pattern is what is very important for you right now. Whether you have the command over the language or not, if you're able to understand the pattern of what is being expected from you, you can still be able to score like really good score. So that is my overall analysis of why I chose CELPIP and how I was able to score CLB 9. My only focus was to make sure that I understand the pattern really well, and that is what you should be doing as well. But if you have any more tips and tricks that you can probably help your peers here who follow me, you can obviously leave it in the comments below. And if you have any other opinions apart from this, again, the comment section is open and you can let me know. And that is all I have for now when it comes to the exam. I'm going to give you more updates about how my PR journey is going to go, and I hope you guys keep supporting me and do subscribe to my channel, because again, that is what motivates me to make more videos. Thank you. Have a great, wonderful day. Bye-bye.